Omar. Omar just told me the craziest thing, because I asked him if he test drove an M3 before this, and he said if he could go back, he would buy a 4-door M3 over the M4. Why?
It looks a little bit more aggressive. I think the rear arches just kind of, it's just sharper and it just kind of protrudes out a little bit more.
Yeah.
The M4, it does the same, but it's more rounded in the back. I kind of like that sharp, and then it just kind of drops into the wheel well. So, I don't know, like at first I was just against it, but now I'm just like super in love with it. It looks nice.
Because it's got that, I know what you mean, like the M3 has that like very firm rear end that like, it looks like it's squatting. It's just aggressive.
Exactly.
Like, it's ready to go, it's ready to lurch.
100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least your M4 is the most gorgeous M4 I have seen in person. So the story is I met Omar at a Ralph's actually, and I saw the car and I saw his Instagram handle inside. I DM'd him, I'm like, hey, can we do a video? And he's like, yes. And so thankfully we're making it happen, but it was on different wheels back then. What was the wheel setup before these HREs?
So I had Vorsteiner VF 106 wheels, and I've had those almost since the beginning of the car. I enjoyed those wheels, but I always wanted HRE. But of course, HRE is just, the price difference between the two is just so much, it's a big gap.
Yeah.
So it definitely took me some time to try to save up enough to try to even get these things.
Yeah, and these are a little larger in size, right? Those were 19s and these are 20s?
Those were 19s, these are 20s.
How wide is the rear tire on this?
11 inches wide, yeah.
Nice.
So
I mean, they look great. And you're not on bags, right? You're static.
Not on static.
What's the suspension setup?
So we have KW V3s. I enjoy it. It's really nimble. It can take corners really well, but it still retains that comfort that I enjoy. Funny enough, I'm track ready, but have never actually tracked the car. So I may in the future, but at the moment, it was just important for me to have that drop that I want, but also to keep that comfort.
Yeah, I like that this car has the standard seats, because you know, you would think with a half cage there'd be some track seats in here and really stiff suspension. We're going through the canyons right now, and this is a comfortable ride. Like, this is a very pleasant car to be in, and then it also has the power and the aggression and the looks, and so it's a good mix of like performance, looks, and also comfort. And so one of the questions that a viewer asked, we have a bunch of questions here, is do you daily this car? And could you daily the car if you don't?
A little over a year ago, I did daily this car.
Hold on, before you answer the question, we have a tunnel here. So let's hear the car. Amazing. Okay, so you daily this car?
I did daily this car, and it was kind of a nightmare.
Really?
It was cool, but once you get to a certain point to where like you're so low that you're damn near scraping on almost everything.
Yeah.
It takes the fun out of it, because you're constantly worried about trying to dodge things on the road.
Yeah.
You're worried about going up and out of driveways. So it's very it becomes less of a fun drive and more of a anxious, like your anxiety levels are just through the roof.
You're just scanning the road all the time. You're like, all right, is there a pothole? Is there debris? Is there a bump here?
I'm literally like looking at the cars in front of me to see if that car dips inward somewhere, or if it's avoiding. I try to keep my distance. I do my best not to ride anybody's ass.
Yeah.
Because it helps me try to figure out if they're trying to avoid something.
Yeah, and is that an issue with stock M4s as well, or is that just because you have that wild front lip and you're lowered?
It really isn't a problem with stock M4s, because honestly, stock M4s, they are pretty high off the ground.
They're a monster truck compared to
kind of dump trucks, you know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Yeah, I get that. Cool. All right, so let's get into some of the viewer questions here. So Christopher from my Facebook asked, what do you imagine is next for yourself in terms of the next phase for this build or your next car?
I would say that this build is coming to an end. I've been slowly piecing the car together over the past 3-4 years, and I'm finally happy to say, at least at the moment, you know, that the car is just about done. There's a few more interior pieces that I want to get done, but everything else is just really minor.
Yeah.
After that, I'm probably just gonna enjoy the car for a little bit.
Yeah.
I intend to keep it just because it was always a dream car, so
Right.
I feel like I have to keep it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening with this car. The next project, I'd like to get a GT3,
Nice.
a Porsche GT3,
Yeah.
if possible, and who knows what I'm gonna do with that. You know, I have ideas, but we'll have to see when we get there.
I can imagine it'll have a lot of carbon on it.
It will probably have a decent amount, but I'm not sure. I might take it in a completely different direction.
Yeah. Steven asks, what does he think of the new car's looks and functions, and owner's thoughts on the future of the BMW M line? So, you know, all about the newest or current now gen, the G80.
So the G80, G82, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I know there's a lot of people who like it and a lot of people who hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I hate it, but I do feel like BMW is kind of going in this really strange direction in terms of design. I mean, those grills, man. Like what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
It in terms of performance, I'm sure it kicks ass. I'm sure it outperforms this car.
Yeah.
On a few different levels, but in terms of looks, I'm sorry, and I'm really trying to be unbiased when I say this, but I think a lot of people will agree that this car probably looks better.
Drew asks, what is his perspective on BMWs allegedly being better vehicles to lease than long-term ownership vehicles? And you bought this car, right?
I bought this car.
You bought it used. I mean, this was a huge deal for you.
It was.
But what do you think about, you know, you've probably heard it now that you've been around BMWs for a while, that leasing is the way to go for Beamers.
I agree and disagree. So I think that if you're the type of person that, you know, you don't like, or you tend to forget about general maintenance on the car, oil changes and this and that and the fourth, it would make more sense to lease, right? Because you don't have to worry about it. You just take the car in for its service that it tells you on the dash, and then they do it for you, and then off you go.
Yeah.
If you're gonna buy these cars, I would say the cars, especially the M cars, are built so well that they're just gonna last if you do the proper maintenance.
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes with any car. You know,
Right.
if you take the time out and take care of the car will take care of you.
Yeah. I like that. And I mean, it's true. I look at E46s every so often, and there's a lot of E46s with 150,000 miles.
For sure.
That, you know, seem to be running great, and the reason people are still buying them is because they'll run great for another 50,000 miles. It's just, you know, you always look at the records and the maintenance, and it's like, all right, did this owner take care of it? Clyde asks, ask him about suspension, if he did or plans to do anything like sway bars, links, control arms. I see the roll cage, so I'm assuming he tracks it. So you haven't tracked it yet, but his track prep, we talked about that. Also, is it a CS, and how did you approach aftermarket exhaust modding? So first part of that question was sway bars, links, control arms, if you have any changes on that.
I haven't changed any of that. I don't think I plan to. I'm trying to, I want to finish the build, you know, like I feel like if I keep thinking about all the different things that I could do to the car, which is still a lot more
it's never ending.
stuff, I'm never gonna stop.
Yeah.
I think there has to be an end to every build. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but I think it's for your wallet's sake.
Yeah.
Maybe you should know when it's time to call the build done and then move on to your next car.
Yeah, and this is not a CS, right?
This is not a CS.
So you have comfort access, you have real door pulls.
Yes, I have comfort access, have all the jazz. It's definitely not a CS.
Yeah. And how did you approach modding the exhaust? What's done to it?
So at the moment I have active Autowerkes mid-pipe. It's their 3-inch single mid-pipe. And I went with this setup, and I have a rear exhaust actually, a stock rear exhaust. A lot of people don't even know that. I plan to go Remus just because the two paired together sound amazing. But I went with active Autowerkes specifically because it has a very deep and like bassy kind of rumble to it. It sounds good in my opinion.
Yeah.
An issue with this car is that it just kind of whines a lot when you're in the top end. And Active Autowerkes kind of remedied that with their mid-pipe.
Awesome. On to the Reddit questions. A user named I Mean No said, why is first gear ass?
I don't think first gear is ass. I think first gear is ass if you have not so good tires, you know? I'd like to think that my first gear is actually pretty good. And it's good because I tried to buy some pretty decent tires. I'm running Michelin Pilot 4S, which I know a lot of other owners are running, and these tires are they just perform extremely well, even when cold. Yeah. And they're a huge step above the Pilot Super Sports, which is the predecessor. Gotcha.
Okay. Jez asks, what is your average miles per gallon with daily driving, and do you have another car for commuting?
Yes, so I don't daily drive this anymore. I'm actually curious. So it says 19.7. I actually don't know if that's true.
Does that sound too high? Because I think that's pretty high.
That's pretty high. That's actually a lot higher than it should be. I'd like to say that it's probably somewhere around the like 16, maybe 15, 16, 17 range, around there.
Yeah. And so you have another car now for commuting?
I do, yeah. So I actually have a little beater. It's a 2005 Honda Civic.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little 5-speed, but it gets the job done.
Yeah.
I wanted to get myself a daily that I really just don't care about.
Yeah.
I mean, I care, but I don't care.
Yeah,
so
it's literally a beater. You're
it's
like,
a
I can
beater.
park it anywhere. You don't worry about scraping like this car.
Exactly.
You get good gas mileage. That's a 5-speed manual. This is a DCT.
Yes.
Did you think about going with the 6-speed on the M4?
Yes.
How did you end up with a DCT?
Went with DCT for one reason.
Okay.
One main reason. Two, actually.
All right.
One, I live in LA.
Yes.
And there's a lot of traffic out here. I feel like that kind of says it for itself,
yeah, I mean,
right?
I got a DSG GTI because of that.
Yeah. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is, although it is much more fun to drive, in my opinion, it's more engaging. I think for me it was also about how fast it shifts with the DCT. BMW has always done a good job. Well, not always. I take that back. As of late, they've done a really good job with their transmissions, and I just like how quickly it shifts. You punch it, you shift, and it kind of gives you that thump. Yeah. And I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Manatee says, who makes your roll cage?
Studio RSR, that's their logo right there. Reach out to them, hit up John, shout out John. Super nice guy. Hit him up. He will definitely take care of you if you are interested in a roll cage.
And why are there still rear seats if there's a roll cage?
Impatience and laziness. I wanted to get the rear seat delete, but I didn't feel like I didn't feel like looking for one, and I didn't know if it was, I had already set the appointment for the roll cage, and I knew that they could do it without actually doing a rear seat delete. So I was like, you know what? Why not? Just throw it in there, and I'll deal with the rear seat delete later. Actually, as a matter of fact, everything, the cage and the center stripe in the steering wheel, I'm not sure if you guys can catch that in the video, but that's all color matched. And one thing that probably bugs me the most is my own mistake. I actually tried to get custom seatbelts, and I sent them the specific color that I wanted, but it didn't. They sent me these, and again, I was super impatient, and I just wanted to get seatbelts in here, and I threw them in, and then now it looks a little funky because it's a different shade of yellow.
I was going to ask, because this is a brighter yellow than this, and then the brake calipers, and also that center stripe.
So now, eventually, I will swap out the seatbelts and get the correct color, and probably do a rear seat delete, because in order to do these belts, the cage has to come out. So I might as well do everything at once.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna roll the window just to get a little air.
Yeah. All right, Elbow Deep into Logic asks, what's your stance on Crocs? This is a real question on Reddit.
I honestly, I don't care for the shoe. I think it looks pretty ugly. Sorry for those who are fans of Crocs.
I have Crocs and I take no offense. Crocs are like the G80 of shoes. Like, great performance, but not a looker.
I've never actually worn Crocs, and I know they have the whole sport mode thing, and I think it's a little silly, but I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I can only speak for how they look, and in my opinion, they don't look very good.
Yeah. All right. CJ Kalbeck asks, did you go to college?
I didn't. I'm a dropout. I went to community college straight after high school. I was like a C+, B- type of student. I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't the best either.
Yeah.
And I went to college with my cousin. We were supposed to be each other's support system. If I'm in class or we're in class and I'm saying, for example, that, oh man, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
What he was supposed to say is, nah man, we have this midterm, it's coming up, we gotta study. But what he would normally say was, oh man, I'm tired too, let's get the hell out of here. So he would leave class all the time, because college is so different from high school. You can walk out and no one's gonna say anything, So we took advantage of that freedom, and we would constantly just walk out of class and then not show up for like a day or two, and then they're onto a completely different material, or they're gonna start a little exam, and we're just like, wait a minute, hold on. There's an exam today, or can I borrow a Scantron?
Right.
Can I get a number 2 pencil? Because we were like so unprepared.
Yeah.
So college wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I dropped out, and I just bounced around from job to job, and I know this is super cliche to say, but just go to school. Unless you have some major connections, just go to school. It's a pain in the ass and it sucks, I know, but it gives you more opportunity, Just go to school.
Yeah. So, you still ended up with an M4. You got to this position, but it was a lot of hard work. So you think it would have worked out easier, possibly, in a different way. If you went to school, you'd still be able to get an M4. It'd be a different route that you get to the same.
It would have definitely been a different route. I think I would have gotten an M3, M4 eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have been an F chassis.
Yeah.
It might have, depending on where I would be at that time. It might be the current model,
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Yeah. All right, next 2 questions aren't all that important, but we'll do quick answers. Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Okay. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Okay. Exo Lin Lev asked, name the top thing you would change about this car.
Nothing, actually. It's a solid car.
Cool. All right. Steve R. Moo asks, how to success, parentheses, word it just like that.
How to success?
How to success, Steve asks.
I think there is no specific way to succeed in really anything. You just really gotta just grind, Just like, I know there's some people who just kind of, no, I'm not even gonna say get lucky. It really is just grinding, and I know that's another cliche. Everybody says, like, just stay grinding and be consistent, and I'm not successful, by the way. I'm not super rich. I'm not rich at all, actually. Like all of you guys, I work. That's all it is. I have to grind every day just to make sure that everything is paid for.
Yeah. And that goes to the next question asked by Rocco Baracco. And the next questions are much more technical in the car, but he asks, quote, what do you do for a living?
So I'm the owner of One Performance. I started that, it's a carbon fiber business, by the way. I sell primarily carbon bits, front lips, side skirts, diffusers, spoilers, whatever. I sell that stuff for M3s, M4s, M2s, M6, 6 Series, 3 Series, F chassis, E chassis, like you name it.
Yeah.
Like I got you. Feel free to follow. Instagram is @1performance, #1 NE performance on Instagram.
Yep.
Hit me up if you need anything. I do that for a living. I don't do anything else.
Awesome.
I don't have a side job. I don't have a side hustle. That's
Yeah.
literally all I do every single day.
Got it. All right, Adam, BMW M6 asks, performance upgrades, engine, suspension, etc. If yes, have you done anything about the Crankhub concerns that some people have experienced? Also, do you know the dyno numbers and what shop does it work?
So starting off with the Crankhub. So everybody, it might be a shock to some people considering what I've done to the car already. I have not done the Crankhub. It's something that needs to be done, but my priorities are obviously a little out of order. But we're gonna get that done soon, absolutely soon. I don't drive the car too often, so I feel like that kind of helps, you know, in terms of not spinning it. I don't drive it too aggressively. I do my occasional pull here and there, and I know it can happen during that time, but I try to be chill for the most part. What was the second part of that question?
Second part was, have you done any performance upgrades to the engine?
Yeah, so I have a tune. It's a custom tune from a guy named Kerry Jordan. On Instagram, he's Jordan Tuned. He's a guy on the East Coast. Shout out to him. He does amazing work. The car is super, like it's a different monster from stock. And besides that, it's still extremely reliable. So yeah, I have a custom tune. I have charge pipes, down pipes, you name it. I got most of everything except for intakes. I'm trying to keep the engine bay as basic as possible. Just because you don't want to draw any unnecessary attention. Play it safe. All right, a user named Let Me Look Around says, how often do you bottom out? I don't bottom out that often, actually. I scrape more on my lip more than anything.
Those pops are wild. What is the front lip and skirt brand?
That's from my business. It's One Performance. The front lip, the current front lip is called the 1PV version 2. The lip that I had before this was a GTS style front lip. It comes with both the upper and lower portion.
Gotcha. 11B328i says crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Creamy. I don't want to. No. Crunchy?
Nice. All right. Crazy Mike asks, what made him choose the half roll cage over no roll cage or a full cage, and how did he choose the color?
I chose the half cage. Firstly, I chose to get a roll cage because my buddy Nick actually inspired me. Shout out to Nick Tattoo. That's my one of my closest friends. Hope you're well. He has a full cage. It's a 6-point cage. It like comes all through the front. It looks insane, and it's a little silly. It's a little funny, but whenever we would go to car meets together, a lot of people gravitated towards his car because of the cage, and I was like, my car is cool too, but it really was the cage. His build was beautiful. But the cage really is what got people like, damn, like this is insane. So that kind of like motivated me, not motivated me, but kind of pushed me to get the cage just because, I mean, it does look good. It's really eye-catching. I removed my window tint just because, like, you know, the tint was so dark you couldn't even see it. So I removed it, and it looks great. You can see it from behind, and it's definitely a topic of many conversations.
It takes it to another element and really separates it from the other M4. Totally get that. Steve05 asks, how infuriated is he on a scale of 1 to 10 that you cannot make the car start in your custom damper throttle steering settings? Or can you do that?
You, to my knowledge, cannot. Yeah, so when you actually start the car, it will automatically reset all your settings. It will start the car in efficient, comfort, and comfort. Efficient for the throttle response, No, I'm sorry, efficient, sport, and sport.
Okay.
So efficient for throttle response, sport for suspension, the dampers, as you mentioned, and sport for the steering.
Yeah.
I would like for the car to start off in efficient comfort. I have preset settings, M1 and M2.
Yep.
My M1 is, as I mentioned, efficient, comfort. And the only reason why I have that is I like to drive comfortably sometimes. And since the car has valves, you can actually close the valves and open them.
Nice.
And if I see a cop, push the button and it shuts it up.
Nice.
And M2 is sport down the line. And that's just for fun driving. That's just my normal, regular driving.
Right.
And then I will hit Sport Plus if, I don't know, if for whatever reason I need to go a little bit faster, if I'm focused on getting somewhere quickly.
Gotcha. All right, we got a couple more questions. What is the first mod you would recommend to an M4C owner?
Lower it. The cars look great by themselves, but they really, they might as well, it's like an X4M. You know what I mean? They sit so high. They might as well. BMW should have came out with those tall trucks that have those little stepping stools that kind of come out. They might as well have one of those just because of how high it sits. So lower your car.
Nice. Okay, Brandon Gons asks, and this question has 102 likes, by the way.
Wow.
Does he wet his toothbrush before or after applying toothpaste?
Both, actually. I will wet the toothbrush, apply the toothpaste, and wet it again.
There you go. That's the secret. Okay. What color is your car, and what made you choose this color?
It's sake orange. I chose the color just because at the time, not a lot of people had it, and even right now, it's kind of like a little less common than the rest of the colors. Like, I think a lot of people have Gas Marina, which is a gorgeous color, but it's common. Of course, there's white, black. Austin yellow was another color I was gonna get. But if I'm being brutally honest, I got this color because that's what was available at the time. I think if the same dealer that I bought this car from had a Yas Marina, I would have got a Yas Marina. You know what I mean? I just wanted the car. I honestly could care less what color it was.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Unspec7 asks, how often does he need to replace his front lip? Well, and I thought this was hilarious because we had to reschedule our shoot because of your front lip.
Yeah, so not too often. We originally had planned to film this episode, I think closer towards the beginning of the month.
Yeah, like Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I remember that. And maybe a few days before the shoot, I hit like a sandbag on the freeway coming from a car show, and it completely ripped half my lip off. And I was waiting for this new one to come in, and it took quite a bit of time, but eventually it came in, and now we're here.
Yeah. All right, and the last question from DJ Porsche. Why no big wing?
Why no big wing? I like wings, but they're just not for me. That's all. I think they look great on certain cars, and other cars, they just, I feel like it just doesn't fit too well with the M4. But nothing against anybody who has a wing. I think I can appreciate them on other people's cars. I just really wouldn't put it on my car. That's all.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. Well, Omar, thank you so much. This was the most questions we've ever had on any car, 2 full pages.
Wow.
Appreciate all you guys asking questions. If you made it through the video, thank you. This is probably one of the longer ones. It's basically a podcast.
Right.
So many things, but you even talked about Crocs and pig wings and toothpaste. If you guys like the video, subscribe if you want carbon parts or you just want to follow the build. Check out the Instagrams. The link will be down in the description. And the U-turn radius is actually, I'm impressed there.
It's pretty good, right? It's not terrible. Yeah. Subscribe to this guy. He's awesome, super amazing.
Appreciate it.
And if you want to follow the build, my Instagram is @1built, 1NE built. And my business Instagram, like I mentioned earlier, is @1performance, spelled the same way. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Peace.
Later.
Sweet. That was great.
Cool.
Amazing. Yeah.